There was Eru, the One, who in Ardor is called Iluvatar. And he made first the Ainur, the Holy Ones, that were the offspring of his thought. And they were with him before aught else was made. And he spoke to them, propounding to them themes of music. And they sang before him, and he was glad. But as the theme progressed, it came into the heart of Melkor to interweave matters of his own imagining that were not in accord with the theme of Iluvatar. And it came to pass that Iluvatar called together all the Ainur and declared to them a mighty theme, unfolding to them things greater and more wonderful than he had yet revealed. Then the voices of the Ainur, like unto harps and lutes and pipes and trumpets and viols and organs, began to fashion the theme of Iluvatar, and the music and the echo of the music went out into the void, and it was not void. And he showed to them a vision, and they saw a new world made visible before them. And it was globed amid the void, and it was sustained therein, but was not of it. And when the Ainur had gazed for a while, and was silent, Iluvatar said to them, "Behold your music, and those of you that will may go down into it." Then many of the most mighty among them bent all their thought and their desire towards that place, and descended into it. And of these, Melkor was the chief, even as he was in the beginning the greatest of the Ainur who took part in the music. But this condition Iluvatar made, that their power should thenceforward be contained and bounded in the world, to be within it forever, until it is complete, so that they are its life, and it is theirs. And therefore they are named the Valar, the powers
All that is gold does not glitter. Not all those who wander are lost. The old that is strong does not wither. Deep roots are not reached by the frost. From the ashes a fire shall be woken. A light from the shadows shall spring. Renewed shall be blade that was broken. The crownless again shall be king.
The beacon of Aberdeen is lit!
With the flame of the west and Uriel, hope is kindled like a new fire.
Greetings, bonjour. So honored and happy and excited to be a part of this this current Freedom Under Natural Law number 5. Let's get this shit fucking lit, like those beacons, right? And with the 25-year-old anniversary for Lord of the Rings, I suppose it's time for Derek, son of Richard, son of Roberto, son of Delindo, Bartolacelli, to show his quality. Oh yes, mon ami, my friends. Back at it again, and yeah, who doesn't like this story? And if they don't, who cares? But yeah, there's so much that I love about so many aspects of the whole legendarium, or the lore of Tolkien, or the whole universe that he created. What a brilliant mind. And yeah, what a time to be alive, you know, growing up and being able to see that for the first time in theaters, especially when you've read the books prior to, and you might have had some, you know, kind of queasy feelings going through it the first time, knowing, you know, the book pretty well. But as the years go on, it seems like the movie has a lot more to offer than at first glance, right? Especially with the extended edition, yada yada. I also go by Awakening Mind. Have my channel for 13 years or whatever now. Thank you for taking the time to check this out. And yeah, we're not gonna nerd out on some, you know, Nerd of the Rings fucking bullshit, alright? We're gonna get into things that might inspire you and motivate you to carry on through and persevere through whatever hardships might come your way, and leveling up and refining what is good within your skill sets, and also trying to better weaknesses and that kind of stuff. And also the speech of and way you talk and communicate with others, you know. Do you not like pay attention to that and look at the eyes of, you know, all the characters in the movies? That was like really captivating for me. But yeah, going back to good old Tolkien, because yeah, he is one incredible human being. And the lore, there's so much to talk about, and obviously I don't have a whole lot of time to get into all that. I do want to make a more lengthy video or series, or just extra videos, it doesn't matter. Why do you have to label everything sometimes, you know? So anyways, you know, just think about all the whole creation of what he did, you know, like all the different races, and like all the diversity within each race and all that stuff, and the different differing languages. And Tolkien, as a linguist and lover of language himself, who's, you know, learned more than half a dozen, he created his own, you know, it seems like half a dozen of his own in this book. And he wrote poetry. There was like 50 poems laden within this whole, you know, all 3 books. And maybe The Hobbit is included, I forget the stats, but who cares, you know? That's impressive, right? So yeah, the poetry, the songs, the folklore, the landscapes, the towns, the villages, the cities, all the nature and the life within the nature, and the names given to animals. And he gives a lot of significance to things that we kind of take for granted sometimes, and things that were lost of yesteryear. And one of the main reasons I love this movie so much is also because it harkens back to the kind of pre-industrial age. Ain't got to get all medieval, but yeah, obviously the movies depict that, and it's cool, right? So yeah, kind of like stirs something within past lives within me. I don't know about y'all, but I'm not going over some fan fiction bullshit in this thing. All right, so I'm gonna be drawing from the book a lot. I've been listening to the audio recordings. Those are dope, especially the version of Andy Serkis, who was the actor of Gollum and Smeagol, and also a cinematic type of audiobook that has all these cool sound effects and, voices in the background, and like each character has their own distinct voice. It's fucking dope. And yeah, just listening to the way people speak and all that, it's really cool. It takes you back to how people addressed others, and like they respected their own speech to a good degree, because a lot of people were like illiterate back in the day. So yeah. So with this book, this series, and the whole Legendarium, there's a lot of lineage, legacy, language, life, love, light, long bottom leaf, and much more than just Lothlorien. Going to the Gondorian, especially thinking about the Silmarillion, the Númenórean, and all the way to the end of Mordor, and plenty other stories, friend. So yeah. We're not going over allegories, right? Tolkien was not a fan. What he talked about was applicability. How his stories and his lore and all that stuff can apply to modern day, yesteryear. You know what I mean? His time. The mid, early 1900s, right? So I've applied a good amount of aspects of the story, characters, the archetypes and how they correspond to different types of, consciousness and all these things, even going over the male archetypes and the feminine ones as well. But, there's a really cool chat I did with the One Great Warriors in regards to that. And you can see how a lot of characters line up to those types of things, and even correspondences to the tarot, which I'll show later. I had to throw a little teaser to get y'all appetites a little more frisky or whatever. So, so yeah, I might sprinkle in a couple videos that I've done with others, and even my own stuff in podcasts and whatnot. So tomorrow we ride out from Minas Tirith. Come with us for Gondor.
Mr. Frodo out trying to destroy that last ring of power with the smolder mouth. Some know this crazy.
Yes. So, things to take away from Tolkien's magnum opus is that his belief that aside from the Catholic fucking bullshit, like Catholicism, Christianity, all these major religions, they are paltering knowledge and truths and information that was already established well before any of these religions were created, with their false ass fucking gods and all that shit, but aside from that, Tolkien had a lot of great things. His belief that compassion, not power, reveals true strengths of character, overcoming adversity and all these things, persevering through the most toughest trials of your fucking life, right? He speaks a lot about, well, he doesn't speak about it, but it's portrayed in, about moral victories, There is objective morality in Middle Earth. As much or, probably less than this reality, There is objective morality. Get the fuck over it, There is objective truth as well. Get the fuck over it. Natural law, bitches, don't you know? And yeah, he does establish, in the Hermetica, as well as, cause and effect. There are negative or positive outcomes in regards to how you conduct yourself, behave, your thoughts, emotions, and actions, and what that leads up to, right? So it's, if you read the books, man, it's so good. So courage is encouraged, and I love that word. We did a good video about that with the One Grey Wood Warriors. And yes, the word cœur is in it. That's a French word. I love speaking French. It has really opened up, you know, my brain to in the vocal articulation of things. It's very poetic and a little romantic, right? So, c'est la vie, les amis. But cœur means heart. And you build that courage within your heart. If you have the heart-based intelligence, right? Yeah, you want the guts too, of course. But courage is where the heart is. It's also the seat of the soul, you know? Cœur, courage, core, rage. Rage against the dying of the fucking light. And Tolkien does a great job of portraying like the false cold light in regards to Melkor or Morgoth, if you will, Ungoliant, Sauron, and then Saruman that kind of fucked around and found out the hard way and all that stuff. And Balrogs and all that stuff. Yes, they have light to them. They, you know, they do have that flame and darkness, but is that it's the false cold light, like what we see with fucking archons and shit like that in our realm and universe, right? So a lot of interesting stuff going on that we can correlate and apply to, right? So no Frodo.
Let's keep it on the swords with medieval times and Lord of the Rings and all those wonderful Tolkienian things. Because yeah, we can't be smeagling the truth, right? And just ourselves and act like our subjective perspective is the truth, you know, because it ain't all caps with that shit. We have to just align our own shit with objective truth. And so I think that's why a lot of people get hung up. I think I mentioned this before. People take things too personal. And if people would just chill the fuck out a little bit more. And so with a lot of people that might have too much yang up in their thing, you know, the masculine imbalance, you know, the egg-headed over-intellect type of stuff that's not, you know, really connected to their proper intuition, right? Thinking about the classic tale of the Hobbit, you know, that, you know, people could take that book out, you know, go back to nature in a forest or on a hill and focus in on Tom Bombadil, maybe even sit under a tree, smoke some bomb and chill, and realize that he is kind of like the physical embodiment of the god or creation, if you will. And he's just like speaking in rhythm and rhyme and sound song frequency just all the time. And it's it's quite obvious that I kind of have a inspiration from that. And just thinking about that and being in that free flow of the dance of life, if you will, and you've made that trance and dance already from the programming, so you're actually living your life more authentically. And so I just love how these stories and allegories fit in so well, and we can apply them so much more to our lives and enrichen them and break free from, you know, all these mind control programmings and all these things. So yeah, that one was for the Shire, you know.
Yeah. On the real, right? And yes, I actually am on a hill. But yeah, what's up with Tom Bombadil? Not the Rings of Bloody Power version.
Yes, that's right, Pippin. Rings of Power. You remember, right?
But in the book. I'm not sourcing anything from that fucking dumbass series anyways.
What is this madness?
Shut it down! Shut them all down!
Please make it stop!
It's a shame that chapter was omitted from the Peter Jackson trilogy, Tom Bombadil. He speaks in rhyme and riddle, and he is quite a force to be reckoned with, but it doesn't act like it, and might not even know his own power, but that's aside the point. The point is that he is like the living embodiment of this everlasting theme of that sound song frequency, the music, expression of that, and having your body as that. He was just one with nature at the same time, and yeah, that's a really cool chapter. And you get into the barrel whites and all that stuff, and he has been considered a living embodiment of the actual creator, Iru Iluvatar. Some have also speculated that it was a Tolkien insert of himself, but I mean, come on, how much do people want to theorize about a fictional story and all this stuff, you know what I mean? Just, again, the main reason I'm bringing all this stuff up is because it can inspire the shit out of you. So you don't stink as much, you know? You see how that correlates? So, yeah. He is an odd fellow, for sure, but, sorry. C'est la vie, and take it for what it's worth. But, yeah, it's just, it's awesome having that concept of being able to speak in rhyme form pretty much all the time, and have certain aspects of nature and some of the supernatural take much heed to it. Like, there's a power over those things to a degree, but he's never abusing the power, you know? So anyways, another chapter that was really great and so important in the book was the scouring of the Shire, you know, in the book. Saruman did not die after falling off the Orthanc Tower in Isengard. He was Mr. Sharkey, who brought all the ruffians and stuff after the Dunedain Rangers left that area, so it was not as protected as before. And, you know, Sam's vision of the Shire going to shit, that was in the movies, actually. That's pretty much what it was. And it's a great chapter and a call to their characters, all the hobbits and stuff, and like the 4 companions, even coming back after all they've been through, and like they're mature, they're ready for it. Actually, they're not just war torn and all traumatized. Well, maybe Frodo is to a good deal, but he still has significant actions and involvements. And Gandalf left them to do their thing. It's like, hey, this is your place, you have to protect it now, you know. And you know where he left? He wanted to go talk to Tom Bombadil. Out of everything else in the world to do, it was that important. So that's why I find that really interesting character. So voila. Since I'm on a hill still, let's talk about walking for days on end with very little water and food, my friend. How many people have done that, you know? You don't just see people, you know, the Fellowship walk, you know, waltzing through fucking New Zealand in the movies for nothing, right? You know, like, especially the 3 hunters when they ran like 40 leagues in fucking like 3 days or something like that. Anyways, how many people have put themselves to the test? How many people initiate themselves into difficult situations? And it's just to kind of test your will, test your wits, your even like discipline, and trying to, you know, remain focused and, you know, stick to the goal. You know, kind of like in the movies, they always say, you know, it's a repetitive thing that, you know, in all the great stories, you know, they had a chance to turn back, but they didn't. You know, and maybe that's the reason why those stories were told, because they didn't go back and they kept going, you know, kind of like with the great work. You have to climb up to the top of the mountain, the alchemical mountain, if you will, and get that proper gold, the golden results of your own consciousness. But, you know, there's requirements, just like with a lot of stuff. So, yeah, when was the last time you went on a fast for just like 2 days, 3 days, a week, 10 days, 3 weeks, you know. I recommend the Master Lemon Cleanse. Did a video on that. But yeah, and also just being so vulnerable to the elements of the world, you know, the hot and the cold and all these things. When was the last time they took a shower and that kind of stuff, you know what I mean? So it's about being resilient and being able to endure way outside of your comfort zones, right? So yeah. Then you get to see what you're really made of sometimes, right? So yeah. More to it than that, but you know, let's just go on a hike, man. Put yourself on the brink of these things, or rather challenges in life. And it's more about you versus yourself and testing your limitations and getting comfortable outside of your fucking comfort zones. How many fucking people out there with the pop psychology and all this stuff and like the sheltered spirituality folks and all this shit, it's very blatantly obvious of some people that just lack fucking streetwise spirituality experiences and shit like that. And some of these motherfuckers are just like, they're in fear of having proper responsibility in the 3D fucking world. People talking about all this 5D shit and whatever the fuck and all this stuff. Or you got people bringing it back to the Lord of the Rings, talking all this wizardry Gandalf stuff or kingly stuff and trying to be like Aragorn, when these people haven't even left the fucking Shire, you know? So what the fuck? Take the fucking journey. This is the flip side of what the fuck the fool sees. You see the Mount Doom right there? So take the quest. Now it is time for a little bit of tarot, and yeah, this is going to be arbitrary, of course, but I have some very interesting and unique reasonings for these sequences and the patterning of characters to cards.
Sky, not knowing how to reply, just feeling let it reside inside. I'm healing, we try to test that ceiling and fly. We come busting. Let it go, it's happening to me. I can't believe I'm burning up inside, but there's no fire that I can see.
Alright, for those curious about these trees, I gotta make haste, because I got no time to waste. These are the 2 trees that lit up the first age of the world of Arda, if you will, when Melkor Morgoth was at large, and eventually he brought and formed an alliance, a weird one, with the the big ass spider, which was the Shelob was the offspring of Ungoliant, which was more massive than Shelob ever was. And so, long story short, Morgoth pierced these trees of life and light that lit up, the world, since there was no sun and moon or anything like that. And Ungoliant drank all the light and life force out of these trees. And it reminds me of a specific tale in regards to Norse mythology, which Tolkien, you could tell he was influenced by that and a lot of other things, way outside of religion, again, But Nidhogg, the dragon, who gnawed at the roots of Yggdrasil, which is the real tree of life, not the Kabbalistic counterfeit. All right, look at the symmetry. I've done some videos on this already a little bit. I've kind of alluded to it, and yeah, I got some rhyme and riddle to it, but in the end, people need to figure it out themselves, right? I can't assume, I'm not looking for anyone to believe anything I'm saying. You have to look into it and confirm it for yourselves, of course, right? But yeah, I found that really interesting and makes sense to me.
Enough. I am Gandalf.
All right, so I had a section going over some really interesting numerology in regards to Tolkien. You know, 333 in the place to be all day. Oh, that ought to be for another time. But it alluded to something that All right, I gotta cut in real quick. How do I do this? Minimize, maximize. Ah, yeah. Trying to act wise. All right. Sorry to interrupt. There's about 8 more minutes on this, but with that 333 in the place to be, les amis, don't you want to see what the fuck is really magical about the number fucking 3? Even though 4 in all the numbers in the single digit numerology is pretty awesome. Even, you know, triple, double, whatever. So, you know, Lord of the Rings, there's 3 books in that series. Frodo was 33 years old when, you know, it gets into that, you know, in Bilbo having his 111th birthday in the single digit code, that rounds out to 3, right? 1 + 1 + 1 is 3, right? And there were 144 fucking guests invited to his birthday. You think Tolkien, you know, made a blunder on that, you know, calculation? Anyways, and this is placed in the 3rd age of Middle Earth. And yeah, I'm sorry if y'all can hear me, right? I don't know why the fuck my microphone was fucked up before. Apparently it was on mute after the little intro before I even played this presentation at the top of the hour. But yeah, there were 3 ages, and even before the first age is what I showed in the beginning of this live stream, which shows the Ainur and Iluvatar, who, you know, creates the manifestation, creation, song, sound, frequency, like I was talking about in alluding to Tom Bombadil, because that's just the running theme of creation in and of itself. And Tolkien was mirroring that in regards to how the universal laws of creation exist beyond the motherfucking bullshit ass Catholicism, Christianity, whatever religious fucking fuckery that talks about these things, because it's just, you know, an overlay of what it has already fucking been there before, the fucking isness. Do you know that business? Are you making it yours, by the way? Sorry to, you know, make a quick aside real quick, but yeah, dude, fuck religion. Religare? Are you kidding me? Like, to hold back and bind back consciousness from, you know, a forward progression? Fuck out of here. So did you know in the 3rd age, or you familiar with the 2nd or 1st age? I was talking about Middle Earth, or just the whole world of Arda. And it was even a flat Earth before it became round. Who would have thunk it? But yeah, that's something for some dumbass fucking bullshit theorizing of wasting your time on some rabbit hole shit where you could be spending it more wisely on mastering yourself. Like trying to master your own fucking sword that has been probably castrated. You know, everyone has their own Excalibur sword, their Anduril, you know, that needs to be reforged. All right. Especially you fucking men out there. All right. That is the phallic symbol. And you need to really align that shit to natural law. Otherwise, you're going to fuck around and find out the hard way. Cool. I'm not going to throw any silly innuendos to that. So back to the thrice great, all right? Thoughts, emotions, and actions. How's your rhetoric? Are you trying to come up with some better shit? Refining, reforging your sword, and all that stuff? S words, right? Ward. Anyways. Yeah. 3 years. Gandalf returns after Bilbo's 111th birthday party. You know, the movie, you know, fast tracks a lot of stuff. You know, there's 17 years from whence there was that birthday party, and Frodo takes off to go, you know, to Rivendell and whatever the hell, right? So, because in the book, you don't want to skip out on chapter 3, which is titled "Three is Company." All right, Gandalf rides the eagle Gwaihir for the 3rd time in this book series, or in his life, possibly, with the total of, you know, 2 other birds, which makes it 3, to go out. You know, at the end of the book, you know, they rescue Frodo and Sam, that were never fucking bromancing, by the way. People were looking at that and whatever, you know what I mean? Yeah. Do I still have the list there? Yeah, okay. Try to zoom over there if you will. But anyways, I'll do a special video on that. You know, things like this could take an hour actually. So let's just let it play, and I'll see you guys in 10 minutes. I got to share in this special ignition sequence of the funnel, sparking, you know, some real type of motivation and inspiration into the hearts and minds of those who might listen. With that flame of passion.
Thanks, Sparky.
You know that, you know, leaves of 3, we don't always have to let them be. And not idly do the leaves of Lorien fall. And some of the symbolism of, you know, what Tolkien has with some of his, the kingdoms and some of the elf races and whatnot, they have different styles of symbols and geometric patterns. And, you know, with Lothlorien, you know, I can't stop thinking about the Triquetra, and stumbled across some poems by Anonymous or something like that. I should have grabbed the credits, but here we go. It's titled "The Triquetra Flame." The eternal light that unites all realms, physical, spiritual, and cosmic. And also taking it to the Triskelion, you know, the 3 spirals of creation. A symbol of protection, much like a beacon guarding sacred gateways. Think of like, you know, like the Rainbow Bridge, the Bifrost. The spark of infinite consciousness, or rather eternal consciousness, within the interconnected cycles of existence. A soul's eternal journey, passing through transformation while remaining anchored in divine truth. And probably aligned to natural law, right? Here's the oath of the Triquetra. By the eye of the earth, I stand firm. I anchor into the physical realm, rooted like the ancient trees and mountains, unwavering before the storms of illusion. My foundation is truth. My body, the vessel of creation. By the eye of heaven, I see true. From the higher realms, I perceive beyond the veil. I see the web of destiny. Thinking about the Norns that weave. The patterns of the stars and the song of the cosmos. Take it back to the Ainur.
In the beginning was the word, and the word of frequency. Yes.
Through divine vision, I discern what is real from what deceives. By the eye within, I awaken. Think of the inner eye, the first eye, right? My eternal consciousness rises, connecting heaven and earth, inner and outer, form and formlessness. Ooh, that reminds me of what Mario West talks about all the time. Here lies the key to sovereignty. I am the flame, the thunder, the watch. I am the eternal fire that purifies. Think about that calcination much. The voice of divine will, and the sentinel who stands at the threshold guarding the rainbow bridge, allowing only authentic frequencies to pass. I am legion. Think of I, Magi Nation. You know, imagination. Think about it. I am one and many, the embodiment of all my lifetimes and soul lineages. Through me flows power of the ancient orders, the emerald codes, you know, fire letter codex as well, right? and the voices of all who came before. Much respects to that quote. Yeah, what does it mean to you? Find significance, right? This is for the Shire. Traveling and truth unraveling across Middle Earth, wind and fire. Avoiding the pitfalls of devilish desire. On a hero's quest going down to the mountain-doomed wire. Pushing beyond all mental, emotional, physical limits like a Maiar. That's word to Gandalf. Needing no rings or fancy things to truly inspire. Courage in the hearts of those calling upon a power that's higher. But actually, it's your eternal life force within that never tires, and is what will see you through life's hardest trials. I commune and stay attuned to the universe. That's how I conspire. It's a way to aspire, respire, breathing in tune with, what is good, staying aligned, and all that shit. Because I won't retire, because my soul's on a roll with the flame imperishable, so I won't grow tired. Especially from all the darkness that I've transpired. We gotta alchemize that shit. Let's do this shit.
Well, fun's fun. Now, couldn't we get out of here? No! It's got to ask us another riddle, my precious.
Alright, Smeagol. Riddle me this. What is good for 2026? The year of the Fire Horse. And how it is mighty fitting for this funnel conference, the ignition, the spark, the flame, right?
Thanks, Sparky.
And what is the flame? Imperishable, exactly, right? That's your eternal soul, the soul spark, the spark of free will that the creator, Eru Iluvatar, gave to, its, beings of creation. And then they were co-creators, right? They had the free will to do so. But there still comes consequence when you're not aligned to cosmic law, natural law, right? When you're having a discord with the frequencies of truth and, order, the disorder, Melkor, Morgoth, right? So think of your body as that vessel, or rather the instrument. And we always have to be fine-tuning instruments, Over time, they get out of tune or out, So things to consider with all that. So lighting the beacons of the flame imperishable is really just remembering who you are, reforging the sword, your Excalibur, your Philosopher's Stone, the seed of the soul, the heart. Have you reclaimed your eternal flame, by the way? And think of beacons like, chakras, right? Our meridians, nodes, our organs, our glands, way beyond just pineal. We have a lot more pituitary. What else? Fire letter codex, dormant DNA, the whole universe inside you, right? As above, so below. Don't you know? And we need to tend to the fires within, right? So light the beacons of that passion and compassion of life for yourself and for others. But we have to tend those fires as well. They could burn us and others, right? So what kind of legacy are you actually going to be leaving behind for others to revere, to learn from, to be inspired by, right? Where's your fellowship? Or your brotherhood, sisterhood, right? Have you done deeds worth putting into song? Or like stories of old? And like Tolkien's stories, we can draw whatever kind of thing you want to describe hope as, even if it's a fool's hope or motivation or whatever, to keep you going forward, despite no matter how dark it can get, right? Remember, there's always going to be some good worth defending in your life or others. How about yourself, for starters, right?
The greatest adventure is what lies ahead. Today and tomorrow are yet to be said.
That ended unexpectedly, right? Was that an unexpected journey for you guys? Hope you guys like that. Mais putain de merde. Sorry. Excuse my French. And sorry for the lighting. I feel sunburnt. And actually, probably am because I've been outside. It's been in upwards to 80 degrees in California the past couple days. Been working outside like you wouldn't believe, but not to get into that because some things to get into with this presentation. You guys got any questions? You feel any kind of inspiration? Did you understand some of the hermetic principles that are laid in within this story and how you could read those things, watch the movie even, and just be inspired and try to stay more aligned to that divine essence, that frequency, that sound, that song, that manifestation of creation, right? Sound like a double entendre or redundancy, but you know what I mean. I'm not trying to be fucking cute, but it aligns to what's fucking to boot in regards to the way the universe works, right? It works you think about Nikola Tesla, energy, frequency, vibration, right? And he said three things in that quote, right? So hey, there's another 3 for you, right? So yeah, I said in the presentation, feel free to take a hike. I mean, if you like, but there's other ways to initiate yourself into challenging things that really test the limits of your capabilities, and then you up level after that, kind of, right? You know, when was the last time you really sweated it out? Like you sweated a lot in doing vigorous activity or whatever, you know, whether it be running, hiking, biking, ice skating, you know, whatever, you know, it doesn't have to be some kind of recreational thing. At the same time, you can go on one of those, I forget, like some kind of quest where you go in the woods and, you know, don't take your phone or keep it on airplane mode or whatever for 3 days. Keep that magical number, right? And in the books as well, people say 3 a good amount of times as well. And you can even think about movies like Beetlejuice, you know, like don't say it 3 times, or Candyman, or things like, you know what I mean? So it's running on an actual theme that exists in real fucking life. All right. It doesn't mean like we say 3 things and something's going to magically evoke in front of us or manifest. You know what I mean? But all right. Jason Backman, I want to read your comment real quick. Personal examples of sharpening your sword, and more importantly, examples of that worked out. Yeah, like it's kind of like that, putting your nose to the grindstone, right? I'll give an example. My own personal Rolodex of stories. Even most recently, you know, kind of took a flight in snowy England out of Manchester to Paris. That was about an hour outside of the actual city. I had to take a bus. It was like a low cost airport from a low cost airplane, which there's so many flights in different international destinations that are under 50 fucking euros, or $50, if you will, you know. Try your nifty luck, you know. So anyways, long story short, because it was a long ass fucking journey, because I had 70 pounds of luggage on me, you know, flying back from England, from my ex's place. And I walked, when I finally got to the edge of the city, I walked from fucking like 10 o'clock p.m. at night until 7, 8 o'clock in the morning. Through the snow with 70 pounds of, I had a backpack and a big ass luggage thing. I'm just trotting along, spliffing it up, having a couple of drinks, even keeping warm. It was fun. I was sore as fuck the next couple of days. Imagine, you see the Fellowship walking in the books, they walk for fucking like a year. Frodo and Sam pretty much, like, it's insane that journey that they took. Of course they rest up at certain places. Rivendell, they're there for like a week or two, and Lothlorien and yada yada. But imagine walking for 8 to 15 hours per day. Of course, you're taking little breaks in between, but then you have to like be always on the ready to fucking battle orcs or wolves or whatever the fuck, you know what I mean? And it's not to say like we gotta endure that in real life, but it's once you overcome like some real hardships and you're able to alchemize the trauma that could have been induced from it, hypothetically, right? Could have, keyword there. Like once you're able to like get over that, you're leveling up and you carry that wisdom, aka experience, with you when you're doing other stuff that, like for example, like working in restaurants. I've done so much other harder working in a restaurant that in a restaurant, it ain't all that hard to me. I can work for fucking 15 fucking hours straight the fuck up, nonstop, pretty much. Give me a couple spliff breaks and I'm good to go, but it's not totally, what's the word, sustainable all the time. If you're going to be doing that year in, year out, I do more, packing in a whole like 7-day a week work rate for seasons and live off of that income and then on to the next and yada yada. Y'all see this cat? What up? This is a little peanut. That's sorry. All right, no questions. I had something else I wanted to say. So yeah, it's also about going on these like journeys, quote unquote, or just really trying to test yourself. How many people are willing? You heard me in the video. I'm talking about like being comfortable outside of your comfort zones. And I'm talking about, ooh, you miss an hour or two of sleep. Oh, it's a work night. Like big fucking deal. Like sometimes like the occasion is totally worth it. You got some friends coming into town, or there's a girl that's trying to hang out, do something other than even just, dinner. But, I'm thinking of just ways we can get away from the mundane type of things, because it's kind of cliche sometimes, like, oh, dinner and a movie and what else? Like, we can do a lot more things outside of being in front of a fucking screen together. Wow. Nature is so beautiful, and nature can complement and reflect the beauty of women and men so much, and so that's exemplified in the Lord of the Rings as well, and you ain't got to speak Entish to understand that, no Treebeard. All right, I'm not nerding out on this shit, but you know who Treebeard is, right? And the Ents, the walking, talking trees, the tree herders, if you will. They're dope. And yeah, that representation of like the world at large, of Mother Nature and all that stuff, that living, breathing, active fauna and flora. That's just, it does care. It doesn't like to be hacked at, the branches or the roots, and it does like to be, said hello, like, hey, how you doing? This is a nice place. This is amazing. How many people walk in these forests and actually, even like energetically, you don't even have to like, hug a tree or, say, hi tree, how you doing? Because, when you're walking for 15 minutes or an hour, past like, hundreds of trees sometimes, depending if you're in the woods or whatever, right? But just that energetic mental thoughts of it, I think they appreciate, so yeah, we could be tree hugging or whatever, but it does feel good and it is therapeutic, and especially if you do it in a manner of I've said this in a video or two in the past, of just like asking the question, like, when was the last time you hugged a tree like you would your lover, in a sense? And not in a sexual way at all. It's to be sensual, and it's a sacred type of sensation and intention and all that. And I say that and trying to be brief because I'm kind of lamenting because I'm moving out of a place, which is why I'm in the West Coast. I'm not moving out. I'm helping my dad move out of this house. And there's a lot of history and stuff, but yeah, there's some really cool trees. We even have pepper trees, where like pepper kernels. You collect the kernels. There's a little shell, but you can keep the shell, right? That's why you have those multicolored, things. You put it in a moodle, grinder, and ground pepper. Let it dry out a little bit, or get that. If you want that resin, sticky type of stuff, because there is, oil in pepper, like a little bit, not that much, but there is that residual stuff that gets kind of sticky, icky. But the smell is so pungent. It's purifying. It's detoxicating. Is that a word? Ah putain de merde. C'est pas détoxifiant. Oui, c'est ça le. Bref. So, anyways, trees, yo, and pay respects to the bees, yo. Like a giant green man, yeah. It reminds me of that one silly corporate company, the Jolly Giant canned peas or whatever. Anyways, it's been fun. It's been an hour, and I think I'm gonna end it off of another question, I suppose. Because yeah, like, I had to cut this presentation so short. It was really cool, but yeah. And I've been slagging off on doing the edits to make a extended version of just like this one, or what I'm thinking of. I'm just gonna upload this presentation, aside from the live stream talks, in the videos and all that, and I'll just make separate videos elaborating on things that I really wanted to, and already did to a degree, for this subject, because it's very important. And I'm also listening to a very cool podcast series, or presentational series, if you will, that's really well done and really well produced and edited, and it has background sounds and all that. So I'm going to share a little bit of that, a little bit here and there when it's relevant and all that. not just for the hell of it. You know, I don't like to just come online and just put out a bunch of fucking filler because I need likes and views and stay relevant to the motherfucking bullshit ass fucking algorithm crap. Because I'm out of rhythm of that shit. You know, I'm in my own fucking rhythm of my heartbeat. And hey, sometimes I'm just like on point. I make a video every fucking day. Sometimes I take a couple weeks or months off while tinkering around with a lot of shit. But it's a lot of free work, and I'm pretty fucking broke while doing it, so why ruin it? Oh yeah. The Jolly Green idea. Thank you very much, Jason. I appreciate that, All right, so when I say these things, I'm not really thinking about people personally or and all that stuff. Or although one can, think about someone that slighted you in the past or whatever, and you use that negative fuel to fire the alchemical furnace, which is also known as an athanor, that could be at your door when you call for it. But you got to tend those fires, and then there's 6 more steps to really get to that golden state of consciousness after whatever was burning your shit up, or the falsehoods that you were living. So I'm asking myself this too. What are you made of? And how do you honor and tend to your own eternal flame imperishable? The flame imperishable, that eternal gift of free will that we have within our soul, that goes beyond 3D, 5D, 4D, 6D, even 12D, okay? There's so much more to us than meets the eye in all the 5 senses or even 7 senses. And we have more than that, It's hard for us to awaken all these extra sensory attributes of ourselves, unfortunately. But we just got to keep on and carrying on and try to hold strong. It's not always easy, especially when society is hella greasy, but and that's why I like to run, because as fucked up as shit is, just rhyming and talking shit about it, and like, yeah, I got like this little thing for rap battles and all that stuff, because it's all rhyme incorporated and with the whole hip-hoppity aspects of this art form, this spoken word, this way of life, this way of speaking, this way of being, this way of expressing your own consciousness and frequency, that sound song frequency. So let yours shine, and the more attuned to the divine, the more brighter it will shine, So I got a lot on my mind. Sorry. Do we need any updates real quick? Yeah, the light within. Word up, Theo. Got that natty law? That's a question for everyone else besides you. No, but Soundpath to Freedom. We might be looking to do a live watch party next Friday. So feel free to check that out. That's the website, soundpath.org, and we'll be around. I'm a little distant from social media these days, and I kind of found comfort zone to it, if you will. But I'm around. I ain't trying to ghost nobody. But my own fires need tending as well, just like everyone else's. So light the beacons within again. And I should have titled it Light the Beacons with the Flame Imperishable, because, you know, translating the flame imperishable in regards to your free will, that passion, that spark, your soul spark, how are you using that flame imperishable towards lighting the beacons, or just your own beacon of light for others to see and be a shining example of something that's not fucking bullshit cliche, right? So yeah, we can aspire to be much more than chivalry, you know, and Aragorn was way above that anyways. Chivalry, I want to do a video on that specifically because and I'd love to have a interview with this one woman, Laura Lee, who did this really cool series. Laura Lee Scaife. Yeah. More on that later. But she did some cool videos with David Whitehead, Truth Warrior, you know. And I'm in the midst of that because I'm not nerding out on Lord of the Rings, all right? I'm studying it and studying myself and studying how I can apply these things in my own words and articulation through my own experience and gnosis of many things that I learned, as well as paying homage to people that I've learned from and applying it through some of these stories and possible allegories, even though I heard that Tolkien rolls in his grave once or thrice every time someone says allegory with his works, because he wasn't a fan of that, and he did not intend to have his stories be allegorical. But, you know, sometimes these things are unavoidable because his shit is fucking stacked with so much mythos and lore and even some of the fucking religious bullshit that, as I mentioned in the video, religion is borrowing knowledge that was already established before the fucking dark occultists set that shit the fuck up and hijacked other stuff and, you know, murdered people that wouldn't agree with their shit. Religion is so fucking barbaric and archaic. It's so fucking deplorable that people are still walking on my fucking street trying to sell fucking books on it with their fucking dumbass monkey seats on. It's fucking retarded as fuck. Retard means you're late. You're still sleeping. You're late as fuck. You're still, you know, babbling on in Babylon on some motherfucking bullshit that you should not be ever on. Fuck all the churches and all the synagogues and all that stuff that are, they're harvesting life force energy within the ley line earth energy grid works around the whole globe or planet, if you will. A plane net. Does that satisfy you fucking dumbass flat earthers out there who would rather study that than themselves more, as if you don't understand what a fucking distraction is? So pick up your fucking sword, god damn it, and be on point with shit, with your intellect, first and fucking foremost. Otherwise, you're bypassing the first hermetic law of the universe, which is mentalism. All right? So peace out from Awakening Mind. it's been a good time. And yeah, sorry to be a little cathartic at the end, but I'm sick of people still running on motherfucking psyops, yo. There's so much more shit important in life. And we're fucking at certain crossroads. So don't be double-crossed or triple-crossed, right? So think about it and keep your mental state hermetically sealed. On the real. By the way, have you checked those reels? Or shorts, whatever the fuck they're called on Facebook or fucking Instagram or Flim Flam, BooTube, ScrewTube. Whatever happened to NewTube, by the way? There were other alternative platforms that just, yeah. Yeah, exactly. And I have passed by the region of the Cathars in southern France. They were cathartic as well. You think these times are rough? People were stoned to death. Like, imagine me going on a live stream in front of people back in those days, you know, just being in an auditorium. I would have been stoned to death within the first 5 fucking minutes of what I wanted to say, like I am right now, especially in the tone that I am right now. All right. And I understand the tone of my voice when I raise it, people shudder and like they go into fight or flight mode and whatever the fuck, because they haven't done the inner shadow work and healed that shit and understanding like, wow, like someone has righteous indignation and they're kind of pissed off and like, just because if he's whispering or yelling, whatever something is true, it doesn't change the fact that it's fucking true or false. So yeah, anyways, peace out. And yeah, keep those fucking beacons lit beyond the fucking 7 chakra overlaid bullshit. Crown one, natural law, the king on his fucking throne with the scales balanced, right? Let's get him. All right. Much love, y'all.